Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is Dearest Mother, Love Ruthie. Ruth Smallshaw Ray's Letters to Her Mother, 1949, Part 37. 2493 Overlook Road, Cleveland Heights, Ohio, January 12th, 1949. Dearest Mother, Daddy, and Bud. Hello, you all. And how are you anyway? I've been really anxious to hear how Bud's plans are turning out. Good, I hope. And if not, he'll try working on something else. The world is full of so many interesting things to do, believe me. I've just finished watching films on cleft palate, operation, and training in speech. It renews a thankfulness that we were born in such good shape, and appreciate the roof of your mouth. It's terrifically important. Every day just proves to me more and more how very nice people are. Everyone seems to be so swell to me, honestly. I came back with renewed energy and plans about getting to work, but there seems so much to do, and although I haven't got to worrying about finances, knew it was getting close to it. As I mentioned, Miss Bender has a teacher in the preschool class with whose work she's dissatisfied, and she's discussed it with her to change her to a hearing class so I could take over. However, the teacher didn't want to leave, so Miss Bender sent for Miss Cuthbert, head of the State Department of Hearing and Speech Work, who was over there today, to investigate. And results, I don't know. In the meantime, the Alexander Graham Bell School phoned Mr. Fortune and offered me $5.50 a half-day substitute teaching on a full-time basis, mornings only, which is wonderful as I'll get credit practice teaching too. Mr. Fortune didn't want to let me go and tried to work out a plan to pay me more and full scholarship tuition and give me some individual casework. He said he'd make me a graduate assistant if only I were a graduate. Anyway, it was all so swell of them. Miss Bender wants to wait until Miss Cuthbert says what to do, but imagine it won't be drastic. So even if I do teach at A.G. Bell, Mr. Fortune has asked me to do individual casework Wednesday evenings and Saturday afternoons, so I can still get scholarship tuition. It all makes me feel very much like I must be doing okay. I was up practically all the night before last doing my report on aphasia, which I gave yesterday afternoon. Just okay. So I went straight home. John Ray gave me a ride home, and slept some before supper and went to bed after supper. I called Joe that I wouldn't go to art class, and Ike that I couldn't have a meeting about their open house. And I slept from 7:30 to 7:30, so feel better. Now back to work again. Instead of going out Friday night with Mike, I told him I couldn't and went babysitting next door and got quite a lot of work done. I also worked at school all day Saturday, and Saturday night went out with John, Wayne, and Ann to Poison, an Italian movie of the war. It was very different, and it had English interpretation. However, that date infuriated Bill. He'd asked me out Sunday, but changed his mind, of which I was glad, because I had to work, and Joe had asked me to a movie too, so I did homework. I moved some of my things to Gloria's and Dottie's room and rearranged it all, took my desk over, found another lamp, and curtains, and everyone thinks the rearranging very good. Someone asked Bill to look. Let him look at her room. Finally, Tuesday night, after glowering at every remark I made, he got up about 2:30, I was typing, and said he was sick, a typical reaction when things don't go his way, I've deduced. I told him he shouldn't be like that, but doubt if it did any good. John Ray has asked me to drive to Oberlin with Ann and Wayne Duff Saturday night, where Wayne and John graduated from college, to see a game. Dottie is 27 and planning to move out, because she wants to meet some eligible men. Dick drove me to take a book back, so I asked him about why the fellows didn't ask her out. He said they'd be on the verge of it, but didn't like her aggressive manner. She's really very nice. So I said maybe I'd better worry about my own appeal, to which he said, "Nothing's wrong with you. What more do you want? You're going out with the most handsome man in the house now." Wasn't that nice? And Saturday night Anne drove me to the art museum, and we picked out Moonlight by Du Maurier and Dancing Girls by Degas, both very nice, and John helped me frame and hang them. Dennis's mother had heard I might leave and said, "Why, you just can't go." See what I mean? How nice everyone is? Oh, and while I was studying, Shintu fixed up a tray of tea, toast, and salad, and had lunch with me about midnight. Wasn't that considerate? 8:00 p.m. Wade's birthday is Friday, so I sent him a card. I haven't heard from Marion or you, but did hear from Lloyd, the friend of Jack's who was usher at the wedding, and from Helen and Uncle Alf. A woman phoned a friend of theirs to invite me to dinner, which I'll do after exams. They're leaving Tennessee next week, but keep the address for a while. Really must get to studying, but there's so much happening. I could go on and on. We've had beautiful weather, although it's not supposed to be common in January. Good night, you all, and thank you for a very happy holiday. Love, Ruthie. 2493 Overlook Road, Cleveland Heights, Ohio, January 18th, 1949. Darling, darling, darling Mother, Daddy, and Bud. There's nothing quite like the exhilaration of having an exam over, especially at finding yourself amazed that you did have something to write about after all. Whether it was right or wrong, but it's over and I'm glad. As a matter of fact, I just walked down from the exam room. Mr. McEvan called me in and asked if I didn't feel like going out and having a drink or something with it being over. But I want to say hi before I start studying for hearing conversation exam next Monday. In spite of the fact that you'd hardly recognize your daughter's eyes with the dark circles under, I almost forget what it's like to be able to not study. I'm very, very, very happy. Everything's and everyone's so nice. It's just wonderful. Oh, Bud, but your letter was so swell. You couldn't have written anything better, and I hope that your school works out as well as I feel mine is. I taught lip reading Saturday morning, a deaf 19-year-old girl, very shy, and I just told her not to be embarrassed. Afterwards, Mrs. Davis asked her if she liked the lesson, and she said yes. Miss Davis said, "I think I would have enjoyed that lesson myself." My instructor, good. It was on the mountains, but I took her on the trip I took home at Christmas on the map first to lead up to it, and finally used the snaps Marion and I took of the mountains. The first good that trip has been. John took me to the hockey game, Cleveland Barons versus Philadelphia, Saturday night. We lost. He tried to get tickets for the play Harvey, but it hadn't begun. This Saturday we're going to Oberlin for the game. Mike asked me to go to dinner Sunday, but I didn't. Taught Sunday school, went to church, and studied. Went to Bell's school yesterday and probably will begin the 31st at $5 a morning. I will miss the babies so much, and Miss Bender says she hates to see me go, and I do too. Dennis's mother asked me to dinner and to the movies last week, but I had to go to school. It was so sweet of her, though. I've just learned to love these mothers, too. Mr. Fortune is just so swell. He's going to give me a $168 scholarship for doing some individual lip reading and speech casework. The whole setup here has given me so much confidence in myself as a person and as a teacher. I got the stockings for Irene and will send when I get the time. Mr. Fortune also said that if I plan on staying for the summer, he'll try to work out something for me then, too. Isn't everyone wonderful? I just seem to find myself during that trip home this Christmas. The weather still isn't too bad, rainy today though. I'll be able to get a ride with John to school in the mornings, which will help considerably, as it'll be about 3/4 of an hour by streetcar, 75 blocks. I finally moved in with Dottie and Gloria and think we'll get along okay. As Walter said, the 3 goody-goodies in one room, not so good. I'm so glad, Bud, that you're getting things straightened out and doing the things the way you want. I guess movies are the main thing that I've learned to get over. I like to go occasionally, but would trade 10 ordinary ones for a good play or symphony. Nothing would please me more than that you get yourself a good coronet. My art still hasn't amounted to much, but I still have hopes. Miss Bender wants me to illustrate a book beginning next week. What can Daddy tell me about color processes? Cheaper, fewer colors? I have an appointment to talk to the bishop about Reverend Crowther. Did you press my rose? Daddy, tell Grandpa to have 7A batteries. Take the one in use out at night. In the morning, put the next one in, and so on every day. It saves 25 to 30% on batteries. I love you, Ruthie. Right. 2493 Overlook Road, Cleveland Heights, Ohio, January 24th, 1949. Dearest Mother, Daddy, and Bud. What a wonderful feeling to be finished exams. I can hardly imagine anything that is more exhilarating than that sudden release from tension. I feel like I've been aware of nerves to my very fingernails and am still sort of wound up. But it's what I like, I guess, at least now it's over for a while. Right now I feel like an unexpected guest or something, while with everyone else in the house practically still studying. From now on until February 7th, I'm free from classes, although I'll be in the nursery mornings this week, and I begin as a substitute teacher at A.G. Bell next Monday morning. I'm keeping up on my reading since all the subjects correlate, and the more you read makes other courses easier. But believe me, this idea that the United States education is easy doesn't have basis here, I don't think. I've applied for temporary Ohio State teacher certificate. Next semester, my courses are Advanced Speech, Anatomy, Phonetics 2, Psychology classes, and Practice Teaching. Mr. Fortune is giving me individual casework so I can keep my scholarship. Isn't that wonderful? Oh, Mother and Daddy and Bud, I'm so lucky. Miss Bender was so sweet. She said, Ruth, I want you to know that the way you handle children is wonderful. In case you ever doubt it, your treatment of them and the way you handle problems is very good. Or similar words. Beautifully handled. Very sweet of her. It's awful to think of you having such bad weather. I still haven't even worn those galoshes I bought. Saturday, Wayne and Ann and John and I drove to Oberlin, the college that John and Wayne graduated as engineers from. It's about 60 miles away. We went to a wow of a basketball game, 70-54. We won. It was really good. I'd never considered basketball so exciting. Then about 10 of us, their former college friends, went to the Rose Room. Reminded me of similar college crowds, but a little older. It was very nice Sunday after Sunday school and church. John, Gloria, my roommate, and Dave drove me to the clinic, and I tested their hearing, part of my assignment. Then we went to the zoo before studying some more. Lions and monkeys. Fun. Bill heard another rumor that I was moving, so he came to be friends again and asked me not to go out with John, but to go to the movies with him. He's trying to be very nice, as he said he learned being cross didn't affect me. But he said, Why did you have to do that just before my exams and upset me when I was studying? He still doesn't like John, though. Oh, Marion sent me the wedding write-up. I wonder if it'll get in the Leader Post. It was swell to learn that everything went so swell for them. I'm very glad. Mother dear, I forgot to mention it before, but it was so very, very sweet of you to wash my sweater. I was so surprised, and it's much nicer than the cleaners. You're a doll. I sure appreciated it. I hope that Bud's sticking to his guns. Believe me, it'll give him some grim moments, but eventually be worth it. 3 of the boys who were former members of the house got doctorates, PhDs, degrees Saturday. 1 came back to the house. The others are absent, 1 in India, in Bombay, and it was so nice to meet him. 3 of the boys got their masters, 2 Indians and a Chinese fellow, all engineers. Did I tell you that Dick took me up to see their lab one night? He worked on some aspect of the atom bomb and is now doing something with a big old bomb too. Testing chemicals. He explained it, but to me, I still wish Bud were, as I imagine it'd be fascinating. And brain surgery, golly, but the inkling I've had of brain damage. It looks like a wonderful study. It's a great old world. I love you, Ruthie. To be continued. Well, that concludes today's presentation. Good luck to you with your efforts in family history, if this interests you, finding, preserving, and sharing old letters, diaries, and photographs, and interviewing elderly relatives while they're alive. You might consider checking out our website, Adventures in History with Peter J. Ray at peterjray.com. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.